Happy video day, guys. So I sat here today wondering, you know, I spent a lot of money on Natasha Denona palettes. I have a few in my collection. I've got a few of her bigger palettes. I have some of her smaller palettes. I have some of her mid-sized palettes. I love Natasha Denona's formula. I have to say I am a sucker for Natasha Denona's formula. Yes, I am. However, I've been really cautious about spending my money on palettes just because I feel like after a certain point, I mean, how much eyeshadow do you really need? And I'm starting to get to that point, to be honest. So I guess you guys would know that I have been very cautious with my spending lately. But you know, the other day I was like looking through my palettes of Natasha Denona and I really wanted to see how would I rank these? How would I rank these? You know, like I've got some of these huge palettes that cost me like $120 something, but then I also have these small ones that cost me $25. And after like looking at all of these and kind of like deciding like how would I rank this? And I was pretty shocked, to be honest, guys, because I actually put some of these really small palettes ahead of some of the big palettes, and that's both cool and kind of annoying at the same time because, you know, I did buy these palettes. But I want to show you guys my ranking of the Natasha Denona palettes that I own, from my top favorites to my least favorites. I think I did a video similar to this, but it was a while back. I've added more Natasha Denona palettes to my collection, and I can say as of now, I really have been using a lot of these a lot. Like, I've been using these palettes, so I kind of have an idea of where I want to rank these. I know there's a brand new little guy in my collection, which is this one here. I am going to throw it into the ranking video. I can already tell by the coloration how I would probably put it in, and I've kind of used every single one of those colors by now, so I know how I would use it. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys my ranking of all my Natasha Denona palettes. Every single one of these Natasha Denona palettes, at least 90% of them, I'm in love with. So just because I'm ranking them doesn't mean I'm trying to say like the formula is not that good or anything like that, unless I tell you it is. But if otherwise, it's just personal preference how I use them. So that's how this ranking is going to go. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and let's start ranking. But before we get into everything, I'm Christina Brooke, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see me again. And let's start ranking. All right, so we're gonna start with my least favorite of my favorites, because I can't really say least favorite because that's actually like a horrible thing to say about stuff that you really enjoy. But out of every single one of these palettes that I have sitting in front of me, I'm gonna rank this one the last. So this one right here is from Natasha Denona. So this is her, well, they're all from Natasha Denona, but this is her holiday palette. It's the Holiday 02 Aries. When did this release? Like 2 years ago? I don't know. But it looks just like this. Now, the palette itself is gorgeous. The colors in here are great. There's one here. I think this one's a little bit like a little dull, but the rest of them are really, really nice. Now, the reason I'm ranking this at the end is because I never jump into this palette. Ever. Now, it's a beautiful palette, and honestly I should just pop it out of here and put it inside like a singles like Z palette so I actually use it more often, because these colors together, even though they're kind of cool, I never see myself doing an orange and blue eye. Like, it's just not common for me. So I mean, I would love to use this blue on its own. It's just sometimes I forget I have it. So I would love to just throw this in a Z palette or kind of like put it somewhere that I remember to use these colors. I don't use it that often together. I probably would like these better as singles, to be honest. So that's the reason it's at the end. I literally don't catch myself ever gravitating to it, and it's just because, like I said, I like them better as separates than I like them together. And this was a little bit more expensive. Was this 45 or 50 bucks? You guys probably know it was around that amount. So yeah, that's out of my whole collection, that's my least favorite. So then we're gonna jump into this one. So okay, so this is the mini Tropic. Now, I like this palette. The reason it's all the way down at the bottom is because of the colors, because I just technically do not use these colors. I love to have these colors in my collection because if I ever decide like I want to do a green eye or I want to add a little bit of blue, actually this blue kind of sucks. I don't really like this blue. So I don't really like this blue. The rest of the colors I really like. But if I want to do like a green eye or if I want to use some lilac, this palette is like one of those that I would technically gravitate to if I wanted to do a colorful look. But lately, I don't know, I just haven't really been into so much color. I've been really into like this whole, oh my goodness, the little guy popped out. So if you guys were ever wondering how these were stuck in there, they are glued. But yeah, so some of these colors, I like them better than others. I love this color. I like this color. This color is a little bit too bright blue for me. This lilac's really pretty. And this one just kind of sucks, to be honest. Like, you have to scrape off the top layer and it doesn't really work that good. So other than that, that's the reason that it's down here. Like, I don't know, like these two palettes to me are like really cool palettes, but I feel like taking them out of here and putting them in a Z palette and arranging them how I would like to use them, because I forget to use them when they're in these palettes because I don't love the combination together. So now let's keep going. So the next one is going to be one more mini. It's this guy right here. So I love these colors together, to be honest. This is a cute, cute, cute palette. I really, really love these colors. Now the reason that it's third in line is because I'm not like in love with the formula of this particular mini. Some of these are just not the same Natasha Denona formula. I don't know if this was like back when she first started doing minis, and I think they might have skipped out on the formula a little bit on when she created these. So the formula is not the best. Some of them are better than others, and you can create really pretty looks. So if you guys really like Natasha Denona and you want to have her mini but you don't want to buy a big expensive one, you're going to get a good look out of this. It's not like you're going to get a bad look. It's just for somebody like me that owns a lot of her palettes and like really knows her and loves her formula, you expect it in the minis, and I didn't really love it in this one. Now I do use this palette because I love the colors together. This creates like the coolest fall looking eyes that I really, really love. So the coloration is great. It's just the formula was not my favorite in that mini. There was some that were good, but not all of them were great. So that's why it's number 3 on the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna do it. Am I gonna do this? Okay, I'm gonna throw this one. Okay, so this is the mini Lila. Now I wanna just pre-warn you guys, the only reason the mini Lila is all the way down here is because even though the colors are so pretty, it's just very pink and purple, and I like purple, but I don't like all of these kind of purples. I like more like eggplant purples and burgundies, and I feel like this went more pink purple. It's not bad. It's still pretty. It looks really nice when you apply it. It's just not something I gravitate to as much as maybe some of her other palettes that have more like my color vibe. So this is a very pretty palette. Definitely the formula is there. Definitely love the palette. It's just, you know, if I have to rank it based off of my other palettes, this one I use a little bit less than some of the other ones that you guys are going to see, but definitely the formula in here is amazing. The palette actually is fantastic, but this is a ranking video. I gotta put it somewhere. So the next one is actually going to be the mini version of the Lila. So now the reason that this one is higher ranked than the actual Lila palette is because the purples in here are a little darker, and for me they're more like my color style that I like, and I have used this one a lot. So you can see some of these colors are kind of like dying on me because I've used them a lot. I love this taupe in here. It's like a cool tone taupe, and it looks so good with the purples, and I like all the rest of the colors in here. They're just really, really good. Now I like this palette as one. I think this creates really pretty looks, so that's why it is here, and I use it a little bit more than I use the big Lila, which is actually pretty sad, because the big Lila is really nice. It's just, I'm gonna use this guy more, guys. I'm gonna put my foot down and use that one more. So this is the Safari. So now Safari is in the middle because it's an all matte palette. And what I end up noticing is, even though I really like these colors and the colors are really pretty, sometimes since it's all matte, I end up saying, well, I need to jump into something else for a shimmer. So what I'll end up doing is just saying, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well just use this palette right here. And I'll jump into something like this that already has the metallics in there, and I don't have to worry. So a lot of the times I don't end up doing all matte eyes. Love this palette and love the formula. It's just, you know, I just don't end up always jumping into it because I know a lot of times I want to add some other accents, and that's why I kind of like put it aside. But it's a fantastic palette, guys. So this is the Metropolis palette. So the Metropolis is actually not as high as I would have wanted it to be on my list, because these colors, oh, they're so gorgeous. And this is like one of those palettes that to me is just visually amazing. I saw this and I needed it, just like I just didn't even think about it. I said, you're mine. I don't care how much you cost, I'm buying you. It was just one of those palettes. And I still love it. I do. The problem that I have sometimes with the Metropolis palette is I don't really love all the blues in here, to be honest. Some of these blues, it has a strange formula. I forget what the name of her formula is. So she has this blue formula here. I think it's what they call like the cream to, what is it? The matte, is it a cream to matte formula or something like that that she calls it? It's like the blue one. I don't really love it. I feel like it applies a little bit patchy. I know I said it, but yeah, sometimes it does. And the other colors I have to say are really, really pretty. It's just some of the blues in here are kind of a pain to work with, to be honest. And this palette, even though the colors look so amazing in the palette, sometimes when you apply them to your eyes, I don't love the way it translates as much to the lid as I like them in the palette. So that is the reason that it's down here. A lot of these colors are like more grungy looking. It's kind of funny because they don't look grungy looking, but when you apply them to the lid, they actually give you a different look than what I expected it to give me. I really do like the palette though. So like you can create a lot of looks with this. So that's one of the real big positives here. I think this palette's a little bit more advanced. So I like playing with it. I do like to come up with a really cool creative eye looks with it, but like would I say that this is like a go-to palette for a lot of people? Maybe a lot of people wouldn't use this as a go-to. Okay, so the next one is going to be this one, okay? So this is the Natasha Denona Sunrise. Sunrise is absolutely stunning, guys. This is such a beautiful palette. Now, this one I believe is like $65. So this is like her mid-range, you know, like the bigger ones, these are like 120, and then the small ones are like 25, and then you got these that are like 65. Now, this was fantastic because this is like one of her mid-size palettes. I think she called it her midi size. And the quality in here is absolutely amazing. And what I love about the Sunrise is you can do so many different looks. You've got your more neutral tone looks right here that are very great for spring. Then you've got your color here that you can create really fun fall eyes. You can also use this into the summer. You can use some of these yellows. I mean, there's just so much variation in this palette. Someone would just look at this and say, oh, but that's like a sunrise, sunset eye. But really, she really broke this apart really good so that you can universally use it like throughout the entire year. And that's what I really love about it. The formula is fantastic, so I love it. Next one is going to be, you see, now this is where I'm going to have to throw this brand new one. And the only reason is because I haven't used it that much, but I can already tell, guys, this is going to be a go-to for me. Like, I almost feel like I'm going to use it more than the one that's above this one, but because I haven't yet, that's why I'm not going to put it there. So this one right here is amazing. This is her new retro palette, and this is $25 for this amazing palette. I honestly love it. There's this gorgeous pink in here that's just, oh, it's like a dusty rose and it's gorgeous. Then you got this mossy green and this color right here that's like a green shimmer, but it's like a gorgeous color. This was a beautiful spring palette and I just love it. I think it's such an easy to use palette. I love it. I think it's gorgeous, and that's why it's up there. I think it's so easy and beautiful. So the next one, and this is going to be this is my runner-up, and it's kind of funny because my two top palettes actually are all within like the brown family, which I didn't even realize how much I use brown, but I guess I do because these are the ones I use the most. This guy right here, so this is the Glam, and oh my goodness, guys, this palette right here, oh, this is gorgeous. I love this palette, to be honest. It's absolutely stunning. Now, I want to combine these two together. And I really, really love this. Now I can create the most beautiful cool tone looks with this. And I feel like because I see so much warm tone all the time, I love having this little palette. And I've made such gorgeous looks using it, and I really love it. I think it's phenomenal. It's a great, the variation of colors that you get in here is so good. This is a great undertone color. Love for the outer edge. And also smoke on the lid. This color on its own all over the lid looks so gorgeous. Guys, I use this so much. Like when I was still going to the office, which we're still, as of right now, we're still on quarantine. But when I was going to the office before, this was like one of my go-to palettes, and I used it so much. So now we're going to talk about number one. And number one has been on my number one spot for a while because honestly, she hasn't created a palette that has taken this one or bumped this one off my number one spot. That's the gold palette. If you guys remember when she released this in the holiday, and this ended up being a permanent palette, I believe. But oh my god, you guys, this has been, like, you guys can see how much I have used this. Like, I think I've destroyed it. It is such a beautiful palette. The only color in here I don't use that often is this blue right here. The blue is gorgeous. I just don't use it that often, but I love this whole palette. I usually go within this area right here, if you guys can see where the entire disaster of smudging has begun, but I can create the coolest smoky brown eyes with these gold accents using this, and it's just like one of my go-to looks that I really love, and I love this. I think it's gorgeous. This part right here kind of reminds me of these two palettes right here, and I actually really like the pink version. So I really like this. I think this is a phenomenal palette. Now I'm gonna share with you guys the palette that would probably debunk all of these palettes. If Natasha releases a big version of this palette, a little bit of greens with some dusty pinks and like colors like that, and like a little bit of browns, I think that everything else will be dropped, and that will be my go-to, because I can already see from the direction of this palette right here, if this became a big palette, I think that would be like my forever palette. Like I would be obsessed. It has to be done right, but judging from this one, if it looks like this, oh my god, I would be so excited. But for right now, we still got the gold as number one for me. It's still my go-to. I am gonna tell you guys though, I really honestly feel like these two minis right here are really good minis. Each one's $25 and they're really good. I really love them. So yeah, that is my Natasha Denona collection, and that's how I rank them. That's my usage, guys. But yeah, this is my ranking, and I really honestly love the formula of 90% of these palettes. So you like any of these, I don't think that you're gonna go wrong with any of them, except maybe this one, because it's really hard to use, to be honest. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this Natasha Denona ranking. If you guys haven't done so already, don't forget, hit the subscribe button. What have you been waiting for? So you can see me again, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.